Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2017. It is 8 o'clock in the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic of Do What the Hell You Like land. Tonight, we have some issues to address, to deal with, to get on top of, to get in front of, because questions have to be asked, and we cannot continue to play this game of whatever, how it hang it swing, because it's swinging against us. We need to really take this thing apart now. We need to ask these questions. Is the government of the day a criminal conspiracy? Are we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, actually victims of a vast criminal enterprise known as the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago? We have to have that conversation. You all have to get involved. Tell your friends. Call them out. Let them know we're here. Share it. Share it, share it, share it. My first 3 minutes is sharing this to groups. Share it to any group you're a member of. Stick a pin in that. That was a mix. I talk now. Honey and vinegar. Today, the cabinet announced, the news media announced a couple things. And one of those things was they are going to spend $280,000 per unit in the abandoned Real Spring development. Now, I know a thing or two about construction. And when you have your foundation, your columns, your beams, your plumbing, your walls, and your roof, they have no way you spending $280,000 on that house unless you're outfitting that house for the 1%. Because to tile an entire starter home the size of an HTC home is more than $10,000. So if the tiles missing, that's $10,000, and the ceiling missing, that's the next $10,000, and all the windows and doors combined are $5,000, and all the sinks and all the toilets are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So how did this government reach to the astonishing, mind-boggling figure of $114 million. And it said, what the media said was the cabinet announced it. So that means the cabinet approved it. And if the cabinet approved it, then the prime minister, who's the head of the cabinet, if this is a conspiracy to defraud the people, then the prime minister is the chief fraud. And I wrote a letter today to the Commissioner of Police. I announced an attempted robbery in Valsayn. Mr. Commissioner of Police, I call on you to bring Prime Minister Keith Crowley as head of government and head of cabinet, and Housing Minister, what's his name, Keith Mitchell, Randall Mitchell, I even know, in for questioning due to a decision taken by cabinet that involves the possible misuse of public funds. According to media reports, the government through the cabinet approved the expenditure of $115 million to be spent through the Housing Ministry to complete a housing project, just over $280,000 per unit for practically finished properties, not even worth that. Mr. Commissioner, the completion budget almost surpasses the funds already spent to bring the project to almost completion at a time when labor and materials are trending at less cost than when the project was first begun. This entire project was supposed to cost $134 million when labor and materials was high. And if it was budgeted for $134 million then, and we have columns, beams, foundations, plumbing, walls, and roof, what you spending this next $115 million on, Keith Rowley? What? What are you spending it on? Or is this just a license to steal? Shock doctrine. Have Darren McLeod drive his ass all over Trinidad. Oh, remember today's Thursday. Have Darren McLeod driving his ass all over Trinidad, filming empty HTC houses, saying we want them, we want the HTC house, give me a house, begging for a house. So you use that as shock doctrine. Fix them, finish them, the people want a house. Spend $114 million. An extra $288,000 per house. This is madness. This is the people's money. Mr. Commissioner, we have every right and reason to believe that this is nothing short of an attempt to defraud the people, and I call on you in your substantive capacity to conduct a thorough investigation into these suspicions, to report back to the public as to your findings, and to arrest and charge all those who may be complicit and culpable, including but not limited to the entire cabinet if necessary, to safeguard the public purse. Mr. Commissioner, that is your job. That, Mr. Commissioner, is your job. The same way, always go after them little chicken with the weed, and we send out the helicopter and 5 police stations to surround 51 degrees for that man who went in there for the carton of cigarettes. The cabinet. It's an attempted robbery. There is no way in heaven and hell that you could spend $280,000 on a property that already has foundation, column, beams, walls, floor, roof. What you spending that money on? $115 million. The $100 million is theft. That don't need more than $15 million. This is madness. This is total and complete madness, and we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, if the Commissioner of Police does not take action, we have to accept that we are living in a criminal state, that the government is against the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have to decide. It's either we stand up and shut it down till we get a government that can respect the rights of the people. We have to fix this. If you cannot tell the Commissioner of Police to investigate this, who do you turn to? Who do you turn to in a country where the global medical response contract to provide ambulance is this is madness. You have a company providing ambulances in a country that do not deliver what they set out to do, what they contracted to do. They've never done it. You have a parliament asking questions for years, and that contract still exists. And because I speak up, I end up in court. They want to sue me for defamation. That is not defamation. There needs to be an organization in Trinidad and Tobago that the people could go to and say, hey, that's our money. You cannot take our money and improperly use it. You cannot use it to corruptly enrich yourselves and your friends. You cannot. This is insane. This is insane. I will go forward from here, and it cannot be to look to Kamala and crew, because they're worse. The only thing the UNC didn't thief when they was in power was the water, and they must have the eye set on that. A man tell me, Kamala and crew could thief milk and sugar out of coffee. They lie. They have nothing the UNC didn't touch when they was in power that wasn't theft. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. They did nothing. Even that children's fund to send poor children away. Even that, if you investigate it, riddle and fraud, I show. Because a dog that is suck egg, once it have egg, it's sucking. So the solution is not the UNC. So we have to decide, find another party. The Progressive Empowerment Party building, it mobilizing, I hearing real people supporting it, fantastic. But if you don't like it or you don't like me, form one. Stand up. Stand up. This can't continue. Join Peter George 1% party. I hear you forming a party. The 1%. The symbol I think is an olive oil tree. This mad, insane country. You are living in a country where people don't have to hide from law enforcement. These people hire and fire law enforcement. This is insane. Transparency International, miss me with that. Transparency International for this. This is a country where the Police Complaints Authority have no authority. This is a country where the Integrity Commission have no authority. This is a country where the police cannot go and investigate the Prime Minister if the Prime Minister's cabinet is suspected of being involved in criminal enterprise. And I think that what is going on there, what is going on the port, Keith Christopher Rowley, you and Rohan Sidanan should be taken before the courts today. You have to answer, how did Bridgman Services, the cabinet, my half-read ass, you all know what a cabinet is? A cabinet is not anything that you all voted into power. Jesus and Mother Lakshmi didn't send down the names. A cabinet is Keith's gang. When Kamala was in power, Kamala's gang come together. We's the nice ones. Let me make all the decisions. That's what the cabinet is. Cut and paste media miss us with the bullshit about cabinet this and cabinet that. Cabinet to decide on Petrotrin. Rowley and gang to decide on Petrotrin. Who get into carve up and eat? That is what cabinet mean, Prime Minister and gang members. This is a sickening situation. This has gone on for 55 years. You have to be outraged by now. Trinidad has to be outraged. We cannot continue like this. We cannot. There is nothing left. You cannot help poor people, feed poor people. You can't get the hospital to work, but you're taking $115 million to fritter away. But is this shock doctrine bullshit all of y'all read? All of y'all read how to fool people, how to distract them and advantage them. This is like date rape. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to make a decision. This cannot continue. This cannot continue. We need an election now. We need an election now, and we need to vote all 41 of those mocking pretenders out of Parliament. We need to vote the PNM and the UNC into oblivion. If we do not, if we continue to exchange, your children will end up in debt to the world. Everything that you own now will be continuously devalued until it is worthless. There will come a time when if you say, that's it, I leave in Trinidad, sell everything I own, I have $350,000, and they go to the bank, I want US. So look, 200 US. Come back in 3 days, you get next 200. So I work it out. I have $350,000, I get 200 US a day. I need 140 years to get my money out of Trinidad and Tobago. So you live in. 1% have a problem with that though. The important Range Rover by the mile, the important car and truck by the mile. So nothing stopping them. Nothing stopping Starbucks from paying their franchise fee. Nothing stopping KFC paying their percentage. Nothing stopping Nestle. Nothing stopping SM Jalil from importing sugar by the ton. SM Jalil is the #1 consumer of sugar in Trinidad. All of Caroni Limited couldn't supply SM Jalil. You think SM Jalil not getting their foreign exchange? Come now, man. Come now, man. What is the essential service about Chubby or Nestle? What's the essential service about those? Y'all awoke yet? Are y'all awoke yet? You have two political parties, the PNM and the UNC, that have tag teamed this country. Rape after rape after rape, term after term after term, project after project after project. Nothing has been about the people. Nothing has been about the people. $25 billion grabbed out of the treasury and divided among a bandit clan called Clico and CL Financial. An next $150 million used in an inquiry that went nowhere. Made overnight millionaires out of lawyers. Come now, man. This entire country, this is a nation where, I tell you all, a woman was being raped in the savannah and screamed for help, and 9 men came and helped the rapist rape her. That is a perfect analogy for Trinidad. That's who we are. Everybody that we turn to for help raping. This cannot be good enough. You cannot be watching this tonight telling me this is good enough. You cannot be more afraid of your government than you are of the bandits. You cannot be. This is unfair, unreasonable, unmanageable, and we cannot continue this way. We cannot. I want to give you all the hope in the world. I want to give you all the hope in the world. But what's our truth? Kamala and Herbert Volney announced $1 billion. Somebody sent it to me today. Well, you want to hear madness? Well, I think, well, you know, $1 billion was to build 4 buildings for the judiciary. Feed. The sharks must eat. The sharks must eat. The COP election, you all remember in 2014, when the whole world was in uproar, when Caroline C. Prasad Bechan was appointed to some gas company, some gas or association, because of her association with Bin Hammam and Jack Warner, and the Jack called Bin Hammam, and Bin Hammam make sure she got the seat. Congress of the People turned out to be the biggest abuse and rape themselves, a lie, a fraud. The Congress of the People wasn't worth the paper it was written on. All of us had to realize that. It collapsed in a heap. You know why? Because the Congress of the People had no ideology and principles different to the UNC and these PNM. I used to go to National Council and the Congress of the People and listen to them argue with one another. I used to hear them. My people ain't getting no URP contracts. My people ain't getting no CPEP. If all the Congress of the People was formed for was to come and take the PNM toys to play with it, what was the point of us? What was the point of us? Congress of the People. What was the point? What was the point of us in the Congress of the People if we were no different to the PNM and the UNC? If when given the chance, we had no ideology, no philosophy, nothing that differed us. And that is why Trinidadians are so jaded. The amount of people that supporting the Progressive Empowerment Party is astonishing to me for a 7-month-old party, coming on the heels of all of this rape and abuse. Give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. And to the people who talk every night about the feed sticking, I have no doubt they have people in this country with money that could bribe and pay people to jam and disrupt our feed, or to even pay people inside a flow that when my show on, they go, Martin, feed is the worst. I know. I live in this country. I expect anything. Anything at all now. Honestly. Where are we going from here? Ask yourself that question. Where are we going from here? Because we need to know. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we need to know. We cannot continue to play victim. We cannot continue to play victim. Total truth. We have to fix this for all our people. All the people who are suffering in poverty in this country. All the people who suffer in poverty in this country are victims of governments, past and present. Past and present. All of you who tonight suffering in silence, all of you, victims of governments, past and present.
I visited Parliament Chamber, witness an orchestra, a bang, 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 of only politicians. Well, rated their performance on style, talent and endurance, a bang, 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 of parliamentarians. Politics that encourage hate, making good folks discriminate, bridges replaced by gates. Nurturing racism, prejudice and tribalism, multiculturalism. Mama is up from the UNC and the PNM, COP in the political symphony. It's a symphony with the TOP, MSJ and JC in the political symphony. It's a Stop taking it cool. Don't be played for fool. They're using race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule. Justify their bull. The race can they always pull.
Trade unions prepare for Friday's march and rally route revealed. The march will begin on the Brian Lara Promenade at 1:30 and proceed uptown before returning to the promenade for a rally. I sat as a founding member of the round table with Keith Rowley, Ansel Roger and the rest of the unions, and we formed the round table to stand against Section 34. And I learned how these people operate. Ansel Roger said in a meeting, he and Jennifer Baptiste Primus agreed that the purpose of a march is to disrupt Trinidad. The purpose of a march is to disrupt the public, to disrupt it, cause traffic, inconvenience, so that the people can't ignore you, so that you get to hold them for ransom. And next bunch of clowns holding people for ransom, they don't have an idea, a plan or a proposal yet between them to bring to the public and say, we advocate for this. So what they do, they organize themselves into a gang and they holding the people to hostage too. When do the people ever get something like real representation? A nation of gangs. A nation of gangs. We need to change this. This government's housing policy and the last government's housing policy, the entire HDC that replaced the National Housing Authority has all been criminal enterprise. The HDC cannot stand an inquiry. If we had a proper functioning fraud squad and it went into the HDC, it would jail prime ministers in this country. The HDC cannot stand an investigation. The HDC, there are people in business in this country. When you go back, just check. When Pandey was in office, SIS get all the business. Manning come in office, Hart get all the business. Kamla come in office, SIS get all the business. Rowley in office, the invisible cabal. The invisible cabal. Rohan Sinanan has given a contract to provide a ferry service to a company that did not exist 5 days before they had the contract, that did not own a boat when they got the contract, and only Rohan Sinanan know who owned that company. And that is okay. In the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic of do what the hell you like land. Because poor people starving and the children have no hope, no chance, turn into crime and them getting swift lockup. Police know how to find them. But the theft that going on the port, every minute of every day, police don't know how to investigate that. So when the cabinet meet on St. Clair Avenue and decide to concoct a story to steal $115 million, the police don't know how to investigate that. We up a creek. We up a creek without a paddle. We've been voting our abusers into office.
throat. Keyboard is playing wrong note in this band, band, band of serial politicians. Their lyrics not rhyming, some have no sense of timing. This band, band, band of parliamentarians. Save people for the babbles, profiting because of justice, or what democracy at risk. When this section called to the fore, music rock to the core, who arranged the score? So impure with the UNC and the BNM and the COPND, political symphony, it's a symphony with the DOP, MSJ and JCND, political symphony, it's a symphony.
Kamala and the UNC, Rudal Ramlogan, I tell you all already, stop your talking heads. I will put all, listen now, I will expose UNC business more, you know. Kamala and the UNC, stop trying to play attacking the Progressive Empowerment Party. Use a half a party. All you're fooling the people. All you went and concoct a Tobago organization of the people to fool people in Tobago. Like you come and do a quick consortium coalition with Winston Dukaran to hijack the middle class vote, to make up numbers in your gang. The MSJ, the NJAC, all of that was a ruse. It was bullshit. The People's Partnership was always bullshit. It was always a means to deliver the people's vote to your bandit friends. That's what it was. Billions of dollars, Kamala. Billionaires, Kamala. You, Kamala, have to answer, Kamala, for all them Rolls, Bentley and Ferrari and things flying up and down the avenue. You, Kamala, have to account for all of these overnight contractors who, when you came into power, had one backhoe missing 2 wheels, and you leave power with them as billionaires. You, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, this country, you have nothing to say that the people need to hear. Nothing. And up to now, I have shown respect. I have not gone down the path of your other detractors, Vasant Bharat and Basdeo Pandey and Jack Warner, all of who used to call you drunk and say you fall down in Gandhi statue in South Africa drunk, and how Michaela Pandey work was to take care of you when you go out and you get drunk when Baz was in office. I remember, and I don't talk about none of that. I don't talk about none of that. You don't know me, my game high, but you're sending your stinking little... I know what you always pay them with, because all of them dragging. Your youth arm leader Nicholas Morris show up by me crying because the man who lent him the money to buy the van, when he and the man fall out, repossess the van. All kind of craziness, all kind of sick slackness went on in that party that I watched, and I used to think, boy, this is the government of the country. But when I look across the island, I see Keith Rowley, and I say, boy, that is the option, boy. Meet up with Gary Griffith and Timothy Hammersmith, and we tried to form a third party, but it didn't last because we tried to come together with established politicians, and once you're dealing with established politicians, you're always going to have to deal with agendas. We used to sit down in Timothy Hammersmith's office week in, week out, day in, day out, and just listen to the agendas, crossing swords, trying to find a way. And I say, you know what, this can't work. The Progressive Empowerment Party wants no politicians with us, none. We sink alone, we stand alone. We're going down the road alone. But you see a little 1% joke that you're making. We are no 1% financiers. Why are you saying 1%? Can my skin light? Or you come out and be racist now? Racist? What you all say? Cockroach and a business in Fountain? Like my skin too light? I could go and tan, you know. I could go and tan. Let me talk, now man. Let me talk plans, programs, policies, and ideas that will raise the people up. Let us come to a place in this country where we can actually use the resources of Trinidad and Tobago to help the people. We still have plenty of money, you know. We still have more money than we need, you know. That $6 billion that they're spending this year on the hospital could build you 41 hospitals, you know. That $6 billion could build you 41 hospitals. Staff them, operate them, stock them, you know. Here I'm telling you. Easy, you know. The $5 billion being spent on the education system could build us 205 brand new 10-year schools, you know, for all 200,000 children. Easy. That same $5 billion. Don't think we don't have money, you know. What's going on with our money is being mismanaged and stolen. gangs operating at a high level, the contractocracy, the Chamber of Commerce, all of them have questions to answer. But who asked him the question? The Commissioner of Police. He missing in action. Who is going to ask the question? Who? Which organization of state exists to say, whoa, selector, what you're doing there don't make sense? Mr. Keith Rowley, hold up. Your cabinet gang has approved $114 million. Why is Afra Raymond not speaking out about that? Why is Fixing TNT not speaking out about that? Why is David Abdullah silent about that? Why is Ramesh Lawrence Maraj not speaking about this? Because they're choosing what they're speaking about. Everybody holding the corner and waiting to get their beak wet. Everybody want to be paid for their voice. Yes, well, we'll talk about this, but we'll have to get cut. Where all here? Where Doma? Where Doma? Downtown Owners and Merchants Association. Gregory Aboud, where are you? The country's being riddled, raped, and rampaged. Where are you? Why are you saying nothing? Or is your beak wet? Or your corner safe? So you cool. Tell the people, all of y'all, professional talking heads. Suniti Maraj, who had every answer to every question. She was there with a bell, a whistle, a flashlight for everything Kamala do. And she missing in action now. Well, we can't continue like this. We can't. This country cannot continue like this. And they're going to distract you with bullshit. They're going to use jackasses like Ansel Roger and Watson Duke to shut it down and terrorize and frustrate you. They're going to let crime get worse. You see, when crime worse, when you're seeing things like, oh God, that man hand get cut off, $2 billion. What we buying with that? Because once you get shot, they get to spend. They need roads to collapse. $14 billion. They need you to say that the justice system is not working. 400 years of a backlog. $1 billion. Build 4 buildings to solve the problem. Traffic, a tired in traffic 3 hours. $5 billion. We will build a rapid rail and solve the problem. This cannot continue. This cannot continue. And the same solution is the same solution from 1974. So I just had a conversation with an attorney, somebody that I respect greatly, and I had to tell her that for all of this, if the people don't stand up, we're going nowhere. If the people do not stand up, we're going nowhere. There's nothing more for me to say. I could say it differently. I could pose different each night. There's nothing new. Somebody messaged me to say, could you find the video and send it for me? The one where you talk about what could have been done with the Clico money. I want to show someone. Go on my Facebook page, click photos, albums, videos. Every one of them right there. We have to stop being so lazy. We have to stop it. We have to stop being so lazy. We have to stand up now. We have to stand up in this country now. This is not about personalities. This is not about who have biceps and who have triceps. This is not about who's sleeping with who and who drinking what. This is about you, your family, your loved ones, your neighborhood, your community, your children, your ability to own a home and to afford food, to hold a job, and to be able to get medical care and school education for your children. This is what this is about. There's nothing else we need to talk about. I want to tell you all tonight, we solve one problem. We solve corruption. You can forget the rest, Everything else will fix. It's corruption. The cancer of corruption has destroyed this country. We've set up a country where the courts don't work and the police can't work. So the bandits can get away. There are no laws to prevent them from doing what the hell they like. There are no laws. You have to understand. Unless you go into power, unless you go into office, unless you vote somebody into office who has as their interest and agenda to change and fix this, it'll never fix. Every year, every election, they come to you like some new incarnation of themselves. Yes, we raped you before, but we won't be raping you anymore. How you could believe that? How you could believe that? The story of the scorpion and the frog. Both of those parties The scorpion and the frog. We've had these analogies. I've been hearing them since I'm a little boy. A scorpion trying to get across a river, and a frog comes along, and the scorpion asks the frog, give me a ride across the river, and the frog says, no, you will sting me when we're halfway across the river and I will drown. The scorpion said, don't be stupid. If I sting you halfway across the river and you drown, I drown too. And that made sense to the frog. In this analogy, you, the voter, are the frog. And the scorpion is the political party, is the PNM and the UNC. And the scorpion climb up on the frog back and they're swimming across the river, and halfway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog. And the frog said, but while he drowning and dying, he said, but you fool, why would you do that? And the scorpion says, because I am a scorpion. This is what scorpions do. This is what we do. I seen Franca Woods calling for an office of an ombudsman urgently needed. Franca, I want to tell you something with all due respect. You cannot let sharks pick a shark. They say if sheep and wolves decide have a conversation about what's for lunch, sheep will lose every time. Sheep will lose every single time. You cannot ask the PNM and the UNC to give you an office of the ombudsman. You cannot ask them to appoint somebody. You cannot ask them to appoint a central bank governor. Jawala Rambaran is all over Trinidad right now campaigning for the UNC. So how was he independent when he was the central bank governor? It is insane, a mad country. You need to be politically neutral. Get inside of there and break up all of this power structure. We need to dismantle it, expose it, break it, prosecute and charge people in public office. They have people who hold in office in town and country, in central bank, in the supervisor of insurance, in all them regional corporations, in the Ministry of Health, regional health authority. You have to go inside of these things and find the criminal facilitators and jail them. We have to let go all them weed smokers and sneakers thiefers. Let them go. Because the real criminals in this country, make space, the real criminals in this country are the public office holders who facilitate corruption. The Bible says the upholder is worse than the thief. That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. There's nothing new for me to say to you tonight other than Saturday at noon. Listen, we are not jackasses. If you don't want it, we will go our way. Just like you. Just like you. We could ride out the storm. You see Venezuela, they ride it out. That's why I have some Venezuelan friends who vex with me, but all they could vex still, all they cry blood. All they marching now. Now? 20 years ago you was to be marching. Now you're marching. When you was trying to appease Chavez, you wasn't marching. Now you're marching. When you was making an excuse for Chavez, you wasn't marching, but now you're marching. I will know that I tried. I will know, regardless, this country could burn down. I will know in my heart of hearts that I tried. I put everything. I don't have a personal life. I've stopped working. I do this full time. I thank God I could, but I do this full time. Every day of my life. Monday to Friday. This takes 4 hours. I do politics whole day. Meeting after meeting. Saturday, the entire day Saturday is spent in meetings. The only day that I kind of get to myself is Sunday. Kind of. And it's not about me. Forget me. This is not about me. I am pretty certain that I do not want any public office job. I am pretty certain. And I tell you, I keep saying, 1.3 million of you come out and you stand up for your country and you demand that I serve, I will give up that time in my life. But I want to go and see stuff. I want to see the Mediterranean, walk on the Great Wall of China. I've not had these experiences. I want to go and climb up in the Eiffel Tower. I've never seen it. I want to go and walk around the world. That's what I wanted for me at the end of my working career. And when I retired, this is what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to come and argue politics every single day. This is not what I want. So if you feel that I'm looking for a job, miss me with that bullshit. Not interested in that at all. Not interested at all. Yeah? Dave Jagroup, message me that name properly. I don't know if you gave me the name correctly. Spell it correctly. Dave, I hope you're hearing me. Send me a message. Is this the correct spelling of the name? Because I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that. Give me a link on the WhatsApp. Give me a link as a private message on Facebook. Give it to me, I'll deal with it. From you now. We have a system where we identify the trolls and we block them. Ahmed Khan, early in the broadcast tonight, he started off with this bullshit. Whoever is this Nathan Hose, we will deal with him too. Block them. Yeah? If you can't behave yourself on the trail, you'll get blocked. So, I don't know how much Nathaniel Hossain they have, but I just block one. And that's where we reach to now. We will protect ourselves, we protect our party, we protect our conversations. You can't come and troll it. You can't come and troll our conversations. Not anymore. We have to defend ourselves, defend our country. You'll realize what time it is. You'll realize where we are. I could come here tonight and tell you the progressive empowerment parties, this home ownership, security of the people and the country, food that you could afford, education that works, healthcare that gives you healthcare. See that? That's our manifesto. Write it on a napkin. Write that on a napkin. That's our manifesto. Yeah? That's our manifesto right there. Recall, referendum, campaign finance legislation, and procurement. What is procurement? Procurement is the way by which government spends treasury money. Procurement is the way by which contracts are granted. Procurement is the way by which buildings, projects are done. Procurement. And if you do not have proper procurement policies, you end up with the cabinet telling the country that we're spending $115 million on some buildings that are already built, and the copy and paste media that does not represent the people. That illusion had to be done by now. You ought to see by now that Samson and Shelley and I can't remember this other clown in TV6 name. They're not for the people. The media doesn't represent the people. The media is a giggling squad there to feather their own nest. You see, they don't get money from you. They're getting their salary from the media house, and they're looking for extras. They're looking to get invite. Taruba Stadium opening. Oh God, I'm in the media and I get an invite from Brian Lara to sit down in his box. Jackass. So instead of you going there to cover the $1 billion wasted, you're giggling. The media. We have no media in this country. We have no real independent media. We have no journalists. If you're expecting the media to come to your rescue and expose them, forget that. That's not happening. Dominic Calipasad. He has so much syllables in the name, he couldn't edit that. If you're expecting anything like media, if you're expecting any of those morning shows on a morning to be anything about the people, forget that. They have no interest in that. Our plans are simple plans. We tell the government, make us irrelevant, steal our plans. Don't be spending money on HTC. Sell all the HTC properties. Sell all. Sell all to the people who occupy them now. The rest, auction them. You could have had an auction with those unfinished properties. Start at a reserve value, $25,000 per unit. And everybody who buy a house in an auction is aware that they have to fix it themselves. So they bid and they get a house And you give them the house right there, and they finish it themselves. No $114 million from the treasury money coming in. Put back in the treasury. Steal our idea. Zero deposit, zero interest, government guaranteed loan for 30 years. So people could spend up to $100,000 and the mortgage payment every month is $400. People could live, people could buy house, find house, build house. Steal that idea. Simple housing policy. We don't build no house. We will have in the Ministry of Social Development and Management a department for the people who cannot work. You are handicapped, differently abled, or for some other reason cannot work. We will facilitate you with living accommodations. And that is not going to be a HDC house. It's going to be living accommodations. It's going to be public housing, like public housing supposed to be, apartment buildings created for people who cannot afford to work. So it's not going to be the Hilton. It's not going to be Spotterville, but don't look for granite counters. But we will make sure that none of our people have to sleep in the street. But our housing policy will be a simple policy. And that policy would be zero deposit, zero interest once you have a job. Once you have a job. Minimum wage. But I was going to ask today, you see, you need a jobs policy. You need a minimum wage that makes sense. I wrote something to ask you all today when I came up with this whole concept of this conspiracy of hope, you know. And that's this. I think I may have lost it. They post so much stuff on my wall, I can't tell what is my wall anymore from a news feed. Without state-sponsored, mind-numbing poverty. Now, you have to understand, the poverty in this country is not accidental, it's deliberate. It is what the Chamber of Commerce and the business class wants. They need this poverty, and you have to understand why. You see, without these levels of mind-numbing poverty, how else would the alcohol companies get young girls to exploit? How else? How else? One of their promoter girls get her out. She get her escape. She leave Trinidad. She was a serial promoter girl. Tight pants, tight shirt. Display her assets and put your brand on it. When she get her outing, when she get her opportunity and her out, you know she come first in criminology on planet Earth. In Trinidad, she's tits and ass. She come first in criminology on planet Earth. Out of 7 billion people, she's the number one. In Trinidad, when it pours, you rain. In Trinidad, she's one of pixie jiggly girls that you rent out to Carib and Digicel. Without mind-numbing, state-sponsored poverty, how else would you get people to work for the slave wages that could barely support a life that the fast food companies and security companies pay? Whereas, you think with hope and opportunity, anybody working in KFC for that money? You mad? Subway? Madness. Burger King, McDonald's, madness. But you're serving up. Yesterday was Emancipation Day. Emancipate the people now, man. Emancipate the people. Use the McDonald's dollar menu. Because if 1 hour minimum wage in New York City could buy 7 items off the McDonald's dollar menu, and a whole day's minimum wage in Trinidad could barely buy you 1 meal. You tell me, anything in this country, any of that, you think it accidental? We are making millionaires on slave wages. The disconnect between the cost of living. There are people in this country working in companies that cannot shop in those companies. There are people in this country in the public sector or in the banks that cannot buy a house. Nowhere. They can't qualify. They can't qualify for the 40%. 40% of your salary has to be set aside for the mortgage. So if you're trying to buy a house, and the cheapest house in Trinidad, because of the drug trade and the corruption dollars, all these government ministers from Williams to Chambers to Robinson to Manning to Pandey to Kamla, now Rowley, all of these corrupt ministers from all of these corrupt cabinets and their business partners who have stolen hundreds of millions of the people's money have co-opted the real estate industry, have worked with corrupt real estate agents and are hiding money in real estate, driving the price of real estate up. A man own a mall in this country and he say, I don't care if they don't rent a place, my children will roller skate in the mall. That is money. Money. I'll build a mall for my children to roller skate. I mean, that is jackass. But forget that. In a country of tiny men with egos. Tiny, tiny men. But look at what I'm driving. My wife posting pictures of me saying, that is man. And she's sleeping with the 3 trainers in the gym. Apparently, I'm not man enough. And this is where we at. This is who we are. A nation where it is so badly broken. We have children making decisions, owning political parties, pulling puppet strings, directing what is done in your country. The nation that we envision, where hope and opportunity abounds, companies whose business models depends on people suffering and lack of choice, will go the way of the dinosaurs. That's what hope and opportunity will deliver. True talk. London Mac, I don't warn you again. My security team want me to block you. I feel you have a contribution to make. Respect the thread, please, or we will have to block you. And yes, I'm better than that. To the people who want to ask why I'm talking about things like that, because they live a life that is a total lie, and they are using the brokenness of this country to further their lives on the poverty of other people, on the poverty and suffering of other people. I had to say last night, you cannot be the Minister of Health and not care about people living and dying in the hospital that you're responsible for. You cannot be the Minister of Health. You cannot be the Minister of Education, a former school principal, Fatima College no less, a former head of tutor, and not care about the 95% of the children that coming out of our schools barely literate, uneducated, bleak life's choices. You cannot be that person. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot have worked your entire life to get yourself to a place. You cannot work your entire life to get yourself to a place where you have influence enough, where the sum total of your life's work could deliver and make a change. You're in the sunset of your years. You should be concerned about your legacy. Nobody will remember what car you drove. Nobody will remember where you lived. They'll remember what you did for the people. They'll remember that. Anthony Garcia, today you could change it. Start the process now. If you have the brain that I think that you have, if you have any compassion or consideration for people, start it now. Make all schools in this country prestige schools. Terence Dial saying, if you are not the demon people say you are, now, tonight, call all your hospital administrators, call all the chairmen, the CEOs of all the regional health authorities and say, listen, from tomorrow, all of our hospitals will serve the people with dignity and respect and service. Clarence Rambarat, stop the land grab. Stop people taking farmland to build cineplexes and malls. Let us distribute farmland to farmers. Stop the raping of this country by food importers. Distribute the farmland to farmers. Let us get our people involved in agriculture. We have a small window of time to grow big trees, breadfruit, soursop, guava, mango. We need to be able to feed avocado. We need to be able to feed this nation. When the world population reach 15 billion, when people can't get wheat, when America and China can't sell enough, can't grow enough to sell, we will get none. We'll get none. We'll have none to get. We'll have hungry people. You can't solve the problem then. The law of the farm doesn't allow for a crisis. You can't be hungry and plant a tree and sit down there and wait to eat what it bear. It don't work so. You have to have a plan now. Clarence Rambarat, you are not a jackass. I know you. You're an intelligent man. You're a lecturer, a lawyer, a columnist. Oh Christ, you and I have spoken about these plans. You and I, when the UNC and the PPG was raping this country, you and I spoke about planting millions of fruit trees and vegetable trees in this country so that the people could eat for free. We spoke about that. You have the power now. Why don't you do it? And if Keith Rowley don't want you to do it, stand up in the parliament and say, Keith Christopher Rowley, I didn't sign up for this, and pelt the paper and walk out the blasted parliament. Let us get to there. How do we appeal to whatever decency is left in any of you? How? How? Dressing up in shiny suits, the bunch of you, pretending that somehow, at some point, life for you not going to run out too. What's your legacy? They could bury you in the best suit when your life comes to an end, because all of our lives come to an end. And what are people supposed to remember about you? That you used your moment in life, in time, to glorify yourself? I don't know. But we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a responsibility to ourselves, to our future selves, to our present selves, to our loved ones and our children. We have a responsibility to our neighborhood, to our community, and to our country. And we need to start standing up now. The PNM and the UNC is not the answer to anything other than which parties are the bandit parties. You don't like the PEP? Fine. Form a party. Stand up. Get together with your people. Do the work that we're doing. We cannot continue like this. The country cannot survive. This Saturday at noon, we're meeting in Stanmore Avenue. Come and get involved. Come and add your voice, add your service, add yourself to the thing. We need your help. We need your volunteering. We need financial help. We need people to get involved and help. We're having a barbecue next week. Saturday is a fundraiser. Come and assist with that. We have other fundraisers planning. Lima Wilkinson on the thread. Look her up on my wall. Reach out to her and get involved there. Listen, at some point, you have to take responsibility for your life. At some point, you have to say, the condition of my home, my neighborhood, my community, and my country is my responsibility. That's how our democracy works. And if 1.3 million of us say that and stand up tomorrow, the game will begin to change. Saturday at noon, we Stanmore Avenue. Next week, Saturday at 6 p.m. on the corner of Orsonville Road and Sapodilla Street, Orsonville Park, the Progressive Empowerment Party comes to Tunapuna. Be there for that. Come out in your numbers. Come out in your thousands and your tens of thousands. Let us show the mocking pretenders, the bandit clans, the contractocracy that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are fed up. We want our country back. And we want a proper government delivering government service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes? So, until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.